What's up, y'all? It's your man BJ Joyce coming at you again on the Black Friday show. Today we're going to talk about boycotts. Do they work? First off, y'all know what time it is. I got to get everything set up. I got viewers on Facebook, I got viewers on YouTube. So let me make sure that Facebook is getting the thing and we push this out to our nearly 32,000 people in the Colorado Black owned and operated Facebook group. All people looking to find and buy from Black-owned businesses here in the state of Colorado. So let's make sure that they get that. And while I'm doing that, go ahead and share the video out. You can make sure you can drop some comments. We'll talk here. We'll interact. We'll do all those things. It'll be great. It'll be fun. Let's do this. All right. Let me make sure that it is here. But yeah, boycotts, right? So it's February 28th. And everybody's talking about we need to boycott all these businesses that don't want to do DEI. What the heck is going on? Facebook is messing stuff up. And I want to talk about that and why that is probably not the best thing for Black people to be doing. At least not right now. And here's why. So boycotts, do they work? Yes and no. So it depends on how you do it. And it depends on what you're trying to accomplish and all that fun stuff. Now, everybody's upset. Oh, the presidency, they're getting rid of all this DEI stuff and leveraging and pushing people against each other and businesses to where businesses are now like, we're going to get rid of our quote DEI initiatives. And there are businesses that might get rid of the, I guess, department or the language around that, but still continue to hire other people who aren't just, white males, and still provide opportunities and still do the stuff that they were doing, just not under the guise of a specified program. Now, they're not going to outright say that because, yes, there are things that people are looking at to specifically attack those businesses, right? That are still promoting or upholding and that kind of stuff outwardly, but they can still do it. And we don't know, we're not going to know because they're not going to actively say those things because they don't want to be targeted, but they'll still, do the things that they want to do anyway. It's what happens in a lot of businesses, regardless, right? Whether it's DEI or some other kind of thing that the government or whoever else decides to do, like companies are still going to do whatever they want to, just like you kind of do whatever you want to, right? You say like, oh yeah, we're not doing that. But then you do it, but just not in a direct outward promotion way. Anyway, all that to say, today everybody wants to boycott businesses and on February 28th and go and buy black. Now I'm going to tell you do boycotts work? Yes. But I'm going to tell you why this is not going to work. All right. And go ahead and drop comments. We could chat back and forth. I'm going to tell you why this is not going to work. One, you overbuy either yesterday or you're going to overbuy tomorrow. So either way, it's going to cancel itself out. This boycott, whatever you're not going to do is going to cancel itself out because you just went and bought from wherever anyway, right? Either you did it yesterday or leading up to today, or like after today, you're going to do it tomorrow. So it's not going to do anything. Like you still gave them the money that they're going to get. They just didn't get it today. They're either getting it yesterday or they're going to get it tomorrow, whatever, right? So you didn't really do anything, or we're not going to actually do anything. Two, here's the message that you push out. Mr. White Business, because you don't want to hire black people or you want to get rid of your DEI initiatives, like outwardly pushing that, we're going to go now buy from black businesses on this one day to show you, see, we're going to go buy from black businesses. Now we're going to go buy from black businesses to show you that we don't need you. Well, why don't you buy from black businesses all the time? Stop buying from them, from the white businesses, period. Just go buy from black owned businesses, period. And do that, right? And then you support Black businesses, they grow, they hire more people that look like you, right? And then from that, you don't have to worry about having to go work at the corporate plantation. We are so enamored from integration, right? That we want to be with white people. Black people are the only ethnic group that want to be with their oppressor. Psychological damage. We know they did a number on, slavery and, Black people all post slavery and all this stuff. A lot of psychological crap that we're dealing with and have to work through. But knowing that, why do we continue? Like, we could stop that cycle, that generational curse of constantly going back to the oppressor, so to speak, right? Why don't we just go and boycott black, or not black, boycott white owned businesses and buy from Black owned businesses all the time? That should just be a general habit, like a natural thing for us to do, to engage in. And then you ain't worried about like, oh, is Target or is this business over here doing any, targeted DEI initiatives so that I might be able to go and beg for a job. Just go work for Mr. Jones or Mrs. Williams or, whatever. Go work for Jamal Johnson or, Tamika Green. Like, don't worry about going to work for Steve Schwarzinger or Bill Fritz, right? I'm trying to think of like really common, like Tom Smith. Like, don't worry about going to work for Tom Smith, right? Like, go work for, Ashwanika Jones, like at her tax firm, or uh, uh, Tyrone Williams and his HVAC company, right? Like, whatever, like, go work there. But for the moment, like, this little boycott thing ain't gonna work for a day. Y'all know the Montgomery bus boycotts? It wasn't a day. It took them 13 months. 13 months. All right. Y'all, can you endure 13 days? Right? Try 13 days to not go buy these white businesses. Go buy Black for 13 days. See if you could do it 13 days, right? Now, here's the other reason why boycotts either work or don't work, right? Organizational ability, and then the outcome of what you're trying to do. Those two things, right? So, one, are you organized? And this particular today's little quote boycott that it's not going to work, ain't going to work because nobody's organized. Like, yeah, it's pushed out there like, hey, do this, do that, but nobody's really truly saying like, we are taking action and we are purposely getting together other Black people and we're going to consciously and intentionally do this thing, right? We're going to only buy Black, or we're not going to buy anything, which you should just go and buy Black anyway. But we're not going to buy anything from any of these businesses on February 28th, right? Today. And we have to get people to do that. We have to organize to do that, not just throw it out there and say, hey, do this. This is a great idea, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody like on Facebook or other social media platforms like, yeah, this is a good idea, blah, 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 and do that. And then they don't do it anyway because they're not really committed to it, right? They're not organized in fashion. Nobody said, yes, we're going to really do this from an organizational standpoint of our ethnic group. So one, we lack organization. So if you want a boycott to be successful, you have to organize. You have to get commitment. You have to get buy-in. You have to be intentional about the effort that you're then putting forth. All right. So that's one. But then two, what do you want to achieve from this? Right? Is it just, hey, we don't want these businesses to get our money? if they're not going to hire us or if they're not going to do this. And so therefore we're going to go buy black again. Kind of goes back to that whole thing. Like we should just do that anyway and give our money to black businesses that, and then have them hire us and support us. But that's, that's more to the conversation, but intention, right? Like what is the outcome that we're trying to achieve? So do you want them to just change their policies? Is that it? To go back and actually support like these DEI initiatives and that kind of thing outwardly? Because they still could be doing it. We just aren't outwardly knowing that they're doing it. But you just want them to outwardly support and that kind of thing, to have these programs still in place from an outward perspective. Is that the only goal? Say, hey, corporate plantation, we want you to specifically say that you care about black people. Here's a secret. They don't care. And even when they say it, they still don't care, right? That's why this is happening. Duh. So we lack organization, right, for boycotting, and then we lack outcome, like purpose. Like, what is the purpose? We don't really know. I mean, I can speculate and say that that's what people would want, right? Is like, hey, hit them in the pocket so that they know that black people want to be, told that they're supported. Not actually supported, but told that we're supported, right? Because even though they have those initiatives, they still didn't do any, much for black people. Just throwing that out there. But is it that thing, or is it something else? And then even still, I go back to this whole part of, if we're going to say we're going to buy from black-owned businesses now because white businesses are doing us wrong, what does that look like? Like, what kind of psychological mess is that, where it's like, only because the white man's doing us wrong are we going to now go to our people? Like, make it make sense. Why wouldn't we go to our people regardless and buy from them? And then you don't have to worry about whether Tom Smith, Kyle Stevens is going to hire you or do whatever at their company. We have our own companies that we go build and work for. Doesn't that make more sense? Got forwarded a video of Dr. George C. Frazier. A video was posted about 8 years ago. I don't know exactly if that was when he did this little speech, but George C. Frazier, and you can go and see the video at the Black Friday show on Facebook. It's also on YouTube if you want to go check it out there. But real quick, you can go to the Black Friday show on Facebook and see that George C. Frazier video. And he brings up, sounds like Dr. Boyce Watkins in there a couple of times. So I think Dr. Boyce was in the crowd or in the audience and might have given a speech as well at this event. But he essentially was saying, white folks are not even thinking about black folks. That's what he said. White folks aren't thinking about black folks, and they're not. They're thinking about and he said it like this too, like they're thinking about their jobs and their houses and their kids. They're not thinking about us. And here's the thing, we're not thinking about us either. He talks about that too. Black people aren't thinking about us. It's like, so if white people aren't thinking about black people and black people aren't thinking about black people, then who the heck is thinking about black people? Right? And black people, let's be real. We aren't thinking about black people collectively, right? Yes, I know there's people like, no, we are thinking about, but collectively we're not, because look, everybody's all upset about, trying to go work at the white corporate plantations or buy from the corporate plantations. Why are you so worried about that? If we were really worried about black people, if black people were worried about black people, we'd be buying from black businesses today, and we wouldn't be worried about DEI. Real talk, how much have you heard of Latinos talking about, oh my gosh, DEI? Asians, oh my gosh, DEI. Any other ethnic group, oh my gosh, DEI. The only ones who complain about it are black people. We're the only ones worried about it because we're worried about white people. Instead of worrying about us, we're worried about white people. That's like, instead of you being worried about you, you're worried about, your neighbor 4 doors down and what's happening in their house instead of what's happening in your own house, and taking care of what's going on in your own house, your kids and your spouse and your lights and your water and your mortgage and your window that got broken by the hail or something, right? You're not dealing with your stuff, but you worried about your neighbor 3 doors down. Oh man, what's going on with their kids, and what about their wife? And man, that those shingles on the roof are looking kind of rough. They need to get that taken care of. Like that's the equivalent, right? Yeah, boiled down microcosm. You can relate that to yourself, but then collectively, right? We expand that, go into the macro sense. We as black people are so worried about what's happening with white people, and white people ain't worried about us. No other ethnic group is worried about any other ethnic group except their ethnic group, except for us. We're not worried about our own ethnic group. We're worried about other people. And so who's worrying about us? Nobody. So therefore, we continue to get the short end of the stick at every juncture, right? So do boycotts work? Yes, they work. Here's how they work. They work if you have that purpose of like, what are we actually going to boycott for? Like, why are we doing this? And what outcome are we hoping to achieve, right? They work if you are like, okay, cool. Now that we have what we want to achieve, we have to organize and we have to get people bought into boycotting and doing this, right? So that's 2. And then 3, here's the big part. You have to endure. It's not a one-day kind of thing. One day ain't going to do nothing. One day doesn't do nothing. They're just going to look at you like, whatever. You're going to buy tomorrow and you'll just buy double. It's kind of like the binge effect, right? If you go on a diet, so to speak, and then right after the diet, you just eat all this food or whatever again, and like get fat again because you like it didn't last that long. It didn't become a habit. It didn't become a lifestyle for you. It was just something to do in a short amount of time. And then you binged. And so that's what's going to happen. You're going to binge after this. Like, oh, I didn't spend that day. Oh, now I got to buy all these things that I missed out on. And then you just put that money right back in their pocket. And probably more so because you buy a little bit more because you felt deprived, right? But endurance. Like I said, the Montgomery bus boycotts, 13 months. Okay? 13 months before they got any headway, before action was taken. Not a day. You think Target's all right, Montgomery bus boycott. That was one small company in the South in the 60s. Okay, early 60s. And they held out for 13 months, all right, before doing anything. You think any one of these big multinational companies is worried about your little bit of change, right? That doesn't directly impact them all that much. Like the Montgomery, but like they got a lot of, like that was the transportation method for Black people there. Okay, that was it. So that really did affect them on a day-to-day basis of not getting that money from those fares, right? So Target gets money from, and all these other businesses that I'm just using Target because everybody's mad at Target for whatever reason. Listen, they get money from everybody all over. And Black people ain't the majority spenders there at Target either. Okay? So let's just be real about that. So you think you not buying from them one day is really going to do anything? No, you need endurance. Black people come together and say, we're going to be intentional about this and stop buying specifically from all of those businesses and do it for months. Then you can start impacting. And you don't do it for months to just say, hey, we're going to make a goal 10 months and then we're back at it. No, you do it until change happens. They were determined to do the Montgomery bus boycott until change happened. It just change didn't happen until 13 months later when they started, right? So could you wait a month, 2 months, 6, 12, 3 years? And then in that time frame, shoot, you'd be buying from black businesses anyway. Those black businesses finally get some money, finally be able to hire some of your people. You ain't even gonna be worried about those other companies anymore, right? That'd be huge. But that's the only way that boycotts work. This thing today, I mean, symbolic gesture. I'm not with symbolic gestures. I could care less about symbolic gestures. Symbolic gestures don't move the needle. Symbolic gestures make people feel good. I'm about some action, some real action, right? What if somebody said, "Hey, we really wish we could pay you today. It's in our hearts. We really wish." And then you're like, "Oh, they do. They care. They really wish they could pay me." Versus, "Cut my check. I want my money." And they're like, "Hey, here's your money. You feel good now. You got your money, right?" Some action. Versus, "We really wish we could pay you today. It's payday, but we don't have a check for you, but we really would." That's what a symbolic gesture does, right? It's like they tell you or they show or there's something like, like here, it's about the symbol. No, give me my money. Where's the money? Where's the action? Where's the substance? Right? If somebody was to say, "Oh, I love you," but then they didn't show nothing in their actions that they loved you. They were slapping you, this is that and the other, cheating on you behind your back or disrespecting you at all. They're not showing love, but they love you. The symbolic gesture. I love you. No, show me you love me. Actually love me, care for me, take care of me, like do some stuff. Grave Ray says, yes, I agree, right? So boycotts, do they work? Yes, they do, but only if you have those three things, right? I'll recap real quick. You have to have purpose of what you're trying to boycott for. Like, why are we doing this? You have to organize that, because if you don't organize, it ain't going to mean nothing. And then you have to endure. You have to hold out to get what you want, right? That said, let's pivot, because boycotts work, but today's ain't going to work. So I want to get back to this thought. What are we finna do? Like, why do we continue to to beg for jobs and opportunity from people who don't care about us anyway? Like, can we solve that psychological issue? There's a bunch of companies right now, and I'm so sad about it. They are either black serving or black focused in a way, that are rolling over right now, and they're stripping anything that might indicate that they are black serving, right? Or language like underserved or underrepresented. They're stripping that from mission statements, from um, uh, any publications that they have, from all of their web presences, from their messaging all over, right? And so you have organizations, whether they're for profit or nonprofit, all across the country, that are scared that they're about to be targeted either directly, and so they also aren't speaking out because they feel they're going to get targeted, or indirectly from where they get their money from, right? Whether that's consumers or donation places, right? Foundations that might, or just general donors and that kind of thing. They fear that those people might be scared to continue to support them and buy from them or donate to them, whatever, because those people might be targeted as well, right? And I bring this up because we wouldn't be worried about that if we weren't begging for money from these people anyway, right? Black organizations and black businesses should be sustained by Black ethnic groups, by the Black ethnic group. I'll say that, right? Our businesses and our organizations should be sustained. Which means they shouldn't have to worry. They should be able to operate and do what they're supposed to do without other people's money or buy-in, because Black people are taking care of them, because we have businesses, because we have money that we're putting towards our businesses and our organizations that serve us and take care of us, right? That's how that works. And that's how you insulate from all of this stuff that's happening. That's how the Latinos and the Asians and all these other ethnic groups, that's why they don't care about, like, oh, the president is doing this and his administration is getting rid of DEI, and then these other businesses are doing this and blah, blah, blah. That's why they don't care, because they're insulated from that. They have their framework already put together to where they already support their people. So you can take away white man stuff. Yeah, we ain't going to make as much money because, that's extra money. So you can take away that stuff, but we still can run. We could still operate. We could still function and fulfill our purpose, right? We can still be in business because our people are already taking care of us, right? If it costs, I'm just going to make up some stuff, right? If it costs, this business $1 million to run, right? That's their break-even point a year. It costs them $1 million in terms of doing what they do. They provide this service, right? And they have to pay salaries and rents and all, buy product and material and do whatever it is that they have to do, right? And it costs their break even is $1 million. Well, from Black people, they should be making 1.5, right? So they make 1.5, and then from everybody else, they make another let's say $1 million, hypothetically, right? So $2.5 million. Their break even's 1 million. They're making 2.5 from everybody in good times. All right. So let's say you get rid of that other 1 million. They still make 1.5. They're still not only covering their costs, but making money. That's how we should have it for the Black community, for the Black ethnic group. So therefore, our people don't got to worry about everything else. They're not going to make as much. Yeah, they're not going to be able to go on as many vacations, buy as many luxuries. But they could still cover their costs, make a little bit of money, pay that Netflix bill, buy a nice steak dinner every now and again on their birthday, right? And keep running. That's how we got to do this. Forget the quote boycott so that you'll, white man or white company, you'll change so I can come beg for a job and potentially opportunity. Forget that. We ain't worried about that. That's secondary. If I choose to, right, come and work for you, then I'll choose to. But it shouldn't be I have to come beg you for this. It's we go over here and I go work for the homie people that we know, right? Like I said, Miss Johnson or Mr. Jones, right? We go work for them. Mr. Johnson's Plumbing Company. Boom. There, I'm working there, right? Whether it's operations, marketing, sales, accounting, or IT, or I'm out there in a truck, turning wrenches. Go work for Mr. Jones Plumbing Company, right? Or Miss Johnson's engineering company that builds, and architects all kinds of different buildings for black businesses, right? And other businesses, not specifically, but if they ain't gonna come, like, hey, they still make money because they're standing up Black businesses and all that, building out that stuff, doing architectural stuff for that. Go work for Miss Johnson's business, right? I'm an architect. I'm a, I don't know all this stuff that's in engineering, like that kind of stuff, but I'm them people, and they still have marketing, accounting, finance, human resources, operations, that kind of stuff, IT within those businesses too, right? The specified trade though, like architect and probably some other stuff, right? Drafting person, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that industry that much, but you get the point, right? Go work for them, right? Go work for Mr. Jones's or Mr. Williams's. We'll use Williams now. Mr. Williams's what do I want to say? IT company, that managed service provider, which is going being like an IT company for all these little small businesses. They can't afford an IT staff person directly because they're not big enough yet, but they still need IT services. So they contract out for, Mr. Williams's IT service that he is a fractional, so to speak, IT provider for hundreds of small businesses. Go work for them as an IT person, helping these businesses get their servers stood up and security done and all that kind of stuff. Access to laptops, and they hire people, they fire people, getting those permissions changed, all that kind of stuff. Go work for them, right? Black owned. We could do it. We need to stand up a grocery store. Why is there one black owned grocery store in all of Houston, Texas? It's the fourth largest city in America by population. There's one black owned grocery store in Houston, and they're only open on like 5 days a week too, in like shortened hours. Why do we do that? They need to be open 7 days a week. They need to be open like long hours, like, I don't know, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. hypothetically. Like, that's long enough hours. Stand up more in Houston, Denver, like we gotta have our grocery stores. We have to get away from the corporate plantation and relying on dependency, right? We have to stop being dependent on the integrated system of our oppressors. Then we don't have to deal with this. And here's why we haven't done it. We haven't done it because, I'm sorry, I have like this thing. Like, check this out. This is cool. It's for my ADD. It doesn't work too well in my hand. But if I stand it up, let's see. Isn't that cool? Anyway, sorry, side note. I play with that from time to time. ADD, it gets you, and it's really kind of cool. Anyway, so if we are purposely building these things, right? These businesses, we don't have to be afraid. Now, here's the thing. We're not afraid enough yet, or we're not angry enough. Even George C. Fraser talks about this. He's like, you're not angry enough. You got to get angrier. And so it's been said like this, right? Until the pain of not changing is greater than the pain of changing, you'll never change, right? That's why people don't go and lose weight. Because it's like, I can deal with this spare tire around my midsection, or it's not painful enough. But as soon as you have a heart attack, right? Because your arteries are clogged and you have too much stress on your heart, now all of a sudden you're scared, right? Or it's painful for you in a certain way. And you're like, oh crap, I got to change my lifestyle. And then is when you want to change. And a lot of people still don't. But you get those people that are like, oh no, this is a wake up call. Now I need to change. And then they have these dramatic transformations, right? Right now for Black people, you're like, we're having a conversation. It doesn't hurt enough for us. We're not scared enough. We're not in pain enough to change and to actually go to Black-owned businesses and to cut the umbilical cord from, our surrogate white folks who have been, made us dependent on them and so on and so forth. We still want to go work for these big companies. We still want to go work for them instead of building our own big companies or buying from our companies that then, will grow into big companies that can be sustained not only nationally, but internationally, right? So until that pain is greater for us to, is great enough for us to change than it is for us to change now, it's not going to happen. We're going to continue to be in this cycle. That's why I love Donald Trump. And y'all think I'm crazy. I'm like, nah, that's why I love him. He's scaring the crap out of you. Because what did you do? go around with Donald, right? Y'all got a little nervous, we're a little scared. We're like, oh, we need to start supporting black businesses. It was like, now you want to start supporting it because you got scared, right? And then good old Uncle Joe comes in, you elect him. And then it was like, oh, thank God. We thought we were going to have to actually, buy from black people. Now it's back to, yes, I can go work for that white man's company again. Thank you. Thank you, Uncle Joe. What? And it just happened to be Joe. It could have been anyone, right? It could have been any other like white president. It just happened to be Joe. Okay. So that's why I'm using Joe. This is like, I have nothing against Joe. It just is what it is. He was the status quo for what black people love from white people. And it was just like, wait, so now you're not scared and you're just going to go fall back into, yes, let me go work for that white man's company. Let me go buy from him and prop up his family instead of my own. Thank you. Thank you, Uncle Joe. And now Donald's back and he's scaring the crap out of you a little bit. You haven't gotten to the point yet because we're still early in the presidency, right? We're still early. We're still what? There's only 2 months in. We're still early, 2 months in, and you're like, oh, DEI's gone, and oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Let's boycott on February 28th. And that ain't going to work because we already went through that. But you're getting there. We got 3+ years of this, right? 3 years and 10 months more of the Donald. And I'm like, hey, maybe he'll finally scare you enough. Maybe the pain will finally get you enough that we go from being on this side and we, instead of getting right up to the barrier, we cross the barrier and finally make some change and start building black, supporting black-owned businesses. Maybe. I'm actually hoping for this. You're like, oh, BJ, how could you say that? How could you want bad things to happen? No, that's not bad. That's good for black people. It is. That's like the heart attack that we just talked about. You finally have that heart attack, you fat person that's like super like bloated and out of shape. You keep stuffing your face full of McDonald's and not exercising, sitting on your couch doing nothing. You can't run around with your kids. Yeah, it sucks when you're like that. But that's what the black ethnic group in America, what black Americans are as a group. Or that fat guy who's been sitting around, stuffing his face full of McDonald's, sitting on the couch, watching the Kardashians, right? Can't run around with our kids. That's why they all getting messed up at school and in gangs and drugs and all this stuff. Because we don't spend time with them and do any of that. And then the cycle keeps repeating. That's who we are. So we need to have that freaking heart attack, which hopefully this is the time that is going to happen, to wake us up and be like, holy crap, we need to change. And then we go get on the treadmill. We start eating salads and lean protein and all that kind of stuff and leave the McDonald's alone. Stop messing with seed oils and sugar and all that crap. And we start losing the weight. Arteries start unclogging. We're getting healthy skin. We're sleeping better at night. We can breathe and run around with the kids, actually take care of them, go to their schools and talk to their teachers, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? Support them. We have mental clarity. We feel better at our jobs and we're performing better. We get that raise and that promotion and all that stuff. And boom, now we're lean, mean, fighting machine. That's what needs to happen with black people. But we're not scared enough and the pain isn't there enough yet. It might happen within these 4 years. It might. I'm hoping it does. Because I'm tired of seeing us do the same thing over and over. It's a circle jerk. Round and round we go. Talk about, we shall overcome someday. Like, no. Today. Do it. Get off your butt. Stop being like, I'm going to go and buy from black businesses only today. Do it every day. Be intentional. Get other people. Have conversations with your friends and family and say, look, we need to start doing this. Go and push these organizations that are black and be like, listen, let's organize. We're willing to sacrifice some time, our entertainment, or watching sports or Netflix or whatever. We're going to come. We're going to show up. We're going to be intentional about we have to do something different. Go and do that. Can everybody do it? No, because some of you just you like time commitments and all those kind of things, you just can't do it. But if you can sacrifice some of your luxurious time that you spend elsewhere and pick up the phone and call your friend and say, hey, friend, will you do this with me? Because this is important for not only me, but for us as Black people. And they're like, yeah, cool. All right, let's get a couple more people. And then let's start building. And then let's have conversations at the house. Or let's go. This is what they used to do back in the 50s, 60s, like all that stuff. Like prior, like folks were having house calls. They were at the house, somebody's house, meeting, talking about these things. Black Panthers started that way, or like we're doing that kind of stuff, right? The SCLC, SNCC, and all these other organizations. I can go on and on and on and on. Like all back during the civil rights era and before. They were having these conversations during when they were trying to start the Civil War. They were having house conversations. All right, the abolitionists and free slaves and all that stuff, and politicians, right? They were having those conversations in homes of people about, hey, we need to start doing this. So go and do those things and meeting places, have conversations, be intentional, and then work with other organizations. Be like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We have 50 people. We're going to do this. How do we push this out? How do we support you? How do we fund you so you can do the work? Because that's the other thing. These organizations would love to go and do more of this work, but they don't have any money because y'all ain't giving it to them. You're not donating to them, right? Black folks aren't donating to Black organizations. We need to do that. You want a tax write-off? Black organization, all right? So that they can have the people and the bandwidth so they don't have to work another job and try and do this nonprofit, or work another job and try to run this business just to pay bills, to make these ends meet, right? Got to make those ends meet. Like, so if they were fully funded and could go and do this work full time, imagine how effective they could be in helping us to get organized, to do these boycotts, create that purpose of what we're going to boycott for, to help us get organized, and then to help us endure through this, to put systems in place so that we will endure, right? But then scratch the boycott. I keep telling y'all, boycott is one thing. Forget boycott. I don't even want to boycott. I just want to go and build Black. Let's just buy from Black people every day, right? And do that. Anyway, I'm talking in circles. Hopefully y'all get the point. Hopefully you agree. And if you don't agree, that's okay too. We can agree to disagree on things. I'm open for debate, but don't disagree because you are ignorant to the message of what I'm saying, right? Don't disagree because you are upset at me for saying Donald Trump is actually good for Black people right now. Don't disagree because you don't like me for whatever reason. Don't disagree because you just don't understand how things work. Disagree with validity, okay? If you are going to disagree with these thoughts, disagree with an alternative that you can present, right? That's better than what we've been doing thus far. Again, I'll state this claim again. From 1865, when the Civil War ended, until integration in the 60s, right? It was really the 50s technically. But yes, 1865 until that happened, right? Black people were doing better economically, socially, mentally, emotionally than they are today. We were. We have more land, we have more businesses, we have more I don't want to say we have more education, but the people who were educated were way better educated than they are now. Now it's just a piece of paper. And like, I kid you not, there are children in the school system that have, 3.8, 4.2, 4.6, and they can't read. And these are Black kids. I kid you not. I've seen them. I've experienced them. They can't read. They can't write. But yet they have these four. So don't tell me like, oh, we have these degrees and these kids are doing this. Listen, the skills are not there. They're just passing kids through and they're giving them like such low standards. The standards aren't there. So anyway, all that to say is we were better in terms of our ethnic group from 1865 until integration. Once integration happened, destroyed the Black ethnic group, destroyed it. And the only people that were integrated were Black people. They didn't integrate Latinos. They didn't integrate Asians. They didn't integrate Arabs. They didn't integrate Africans. They didn't integrate native tribal people from America. No, they didn't integrate them. They integrated Black people. They said, come up into the White House, right? It was block of houses, right? You got the White House, the native tribal people of America house. You have the African house, the Arab house, the Asian house. You have all these other houses, right? You have an empty plot of land over here that could be ours, and we could build on that, but they don't want to give it to us. They said, no. You can come into our house, and where you get to be is the toilet room, right? Right there in the bathroom next to the toilet. You can't go past the toilet. You got to be like right there at the toilet. You don't get to be by the sink. You don't get to be in the corner. Nope, by the toilet. In the basement, no windows and all that stuff. And we were like, yay, yes, we are in there. Got to be in the white man's house now. Even his dirty toilet is better than the plot of land that we could have built on ourselves, which is so weird, right? And so that's where we get to be. We don't get to tell them what to do. We don't get to modify anything. We barely get to move around in that environment, right? We don't get to eat what we want to eat. Fridge is for them. They put what they want in there, right? And you're gonna eat that. You get to do nothing except exist there in that space. And we're so happy for it. And we continue to be so happy for it. That's our existence. And we keep trying to beg to go sit by the sink instead of the toilet. We keep begging them in their house. In their house. This is theirs. They make the rules. They do everything. And we're begging for little things within there. Get out of their house. Go to the plot of land on the block, right? Build your home there on that plot of land. And I know we've talked about this before, but they'll bomb it and they'll do this and this is that and the other. That's where we have to build and protect. Okay? So you put policies and laws in place. Listen, I'm not saying that this is the end all be all, but if the policies are in place for equal protection under law, so if they bomb it, they get prosecuted, and we actually get them prosecuted, great, then we can rebuild. They're going to not necessarily want to be prosecuted, right? The thing that happens is we build it, they bomb it, they don't get prosecuted. So, but we have to build, and we have to generate revenue, and we have to support one another. And until we can be protected by other people, we have to protect. That's what was so great about the Panthers, right? That's how these other gangs started. Crips and Bloods, they started as neighborhood protection, just like the Panthers, against the police who were terrorizing Black people in neighborhoods. And then they turned into something really kind of negative, right? The Panthers didn't, but like the Crips and Bloods turned into some negative stuff. And that was, again, that was a whole, we can talk about that in a different segment and what happened there. But we have to protect our own. So going back to that, we need these gun rights that Colorado's trying to take away right now. So if y'all ain't familiar with what Colorado is trying to do in the House and the Senate with these gun legislations that they're trying to push through, they're trying to take and harm not just gun owners, Black gun owners. All right. That's going to affect us and keep us from doing stuff. So we got to be armed. All right. We need to stay strapped or get clapped. All right. And we need to have money. Good morning, Wild Boy. What's up? My girl Crave Rave said, yes, I agree. Connie says, I agree. And Wild Boy says, good morning. That's a Black-owned farm. We need to go and buy from Black-owned farms specifically. And that's how we continue to build up, right? These Black businesses, these Black organizations and entities. There should not be a Black household in Colorado that is not purchasing their eggs, their beef, their chickens, their lamb, their bacon and pork products that aren't buying from either Wild Boy Farm or Freedom Acres Farm, or I think there's maybe one other, and I got to find out who that is at some point. But that's where we should be buying all of our meat. Like they should have so many orders from Black community that they're like, we got to buy more land. We gotta invest in and buy more land, not only to expand where we're at, but elsewhere, right? That's what we should be doing. And then you won't have to be worried about like, oh, what if King Soopers decides that they don't like DEI, right? Doesn't matter because we're insulated from that because we're buying from the Black-owned farm. That's how you boycott for real, for real. You just completely stay away from it and don't go back. Build the system that insulates you from having to rely on somebody else. You don't want to be dependent. When you're dependent, when your livelihood depends on somebody else doing something for you, you're still a slave. You're a slave. You're a slave to them. Why would we want to do that? Keep saying we wouldn't be slaves, and yet here we are. Let's stop that. Let's break this cycle. Let's get out of this crap. All right. So, do boycotts work? Going back to that thought, yes and no. Watch the video for more. You can hear all the thoughts. I got to get out of here. I love y'all. It's the Black Friday show. Like and share this video. Subscribe on YouTube so we can get this out to more people all over the world. They can join this conversation. Hopefully, we can build this thing and be better than what we are today. Connie says that's good to know about the Black farms. Yes, Connie, it is. It's great to know about the Black farms. We need to do that. That needs to be a focus. And maybe we can get Wild Boy Farm and Freedom Acres to participate in the Black Economic Success Trust Summit, so we can start having these bigger summits and conversations about these kinds of things either this year or maybe next year. And that'll be something of focus to where we can organize and come together. But we need donations also. Black Economic Success Trust Summit is a nonprofit, so you can donate to that so they can do greater work. I am on the board of that as well as Denver Black Reparations Council. And so we're doing some things out here. All right. So just tap in. Let's build. Let's grow. And yeah, I'll see y'all on the next Black Friday show. I love y'all. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.